What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. Give the Nuggets their respect. Split cap! It is time that we give the Denver Nuggets the credit that they deserve and the credit that they have earned. Right now, I am in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I'm on vacation and took a little time away from home, been grinding a lot with work and a lot with the podcast. But tonight we sat down and we watched the Denver Nuggets absolutely mutilate the Los Angeles Clippers. You might notice that my setup is a little different behind me. If this is your first time watching the podcast, if you go back to the last one, usually I got jerseys behind me. It's a pretty dope setup. Tonight we just got this new Ja City jersey that I just bought. But we wanted to take some time out of our vacation, because no one's working harder than we are here on this podcast, to talk about the Denver Nuggets and how underrated that they are in the national media at large. And it drives me bananas. When they took down the Boston Celtics earlier in the last 7 days, the topic that was all over the media airwaves was, is there something wrong with the Boston Celtics? It's never giving the Denver Nuggets credit. Now, let me say this. I am no Denver Nuggets fan. Yes, I'm rocking my Dikembe Mutombo Denver Nuggets jersey, but I'm no Denver Nuggets fan. I'm simply someone that calls basketball the way that I see it. And I don't believe that that happens enough in the national media. This Denver Nuggets team is playing at an elite level. And because of our biases towards Nikola Jokic or Mike Malone or Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, some of these guys who have been criminally underrated, we don't talk about the Denver Nuggets the same way that we talk about other contenders in the Western Conference. Let me put it to you this way. Right now, the Denver Nuggets are not favored to win the Western Conference. You know who is? The Phoenix Suns. What have the Phoenix Suns done this season to make you believe that they're the favorites in the Western Conference? To me, the Denver Nuggets have played at an elite level on the offensive end. They're the number one three-point shooting team in the entire NBA night after night. And the reason that they are is because they take quality shots and they're set up by quality looks from their distributors. Nikola Jokic obviously might be the best player in basketball. And that's a topic that we'll get into here in a second, because I think it's very, very important. But first, before we get into that, please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. We are getting so close to 800 subscribers, and we're going to keep grinding, keep growing. You know, I'm taking time out of vacation to record this video. So if you could help a brother out, would be greatly appreciated. But let's talk about Nikola Jokic for a second. Nikola Jokic is the back-to-back MVP. And I don't want to call anyone out too much, but Nick Wright, who I actually like a lot in a lot of topics, is not a Nikola Jokic fan. And one of the things that he said on his show yesterday was that there's only two players in the NBA that can carry their team when their second best player is out. And he said Giannis Antetokounmpo and Luka Doncic. For whatever reason, Nikola Jokic is not in his mind in that conversation. Last year, he said that those were the two guys that can keep their team over 500. Last year, without Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic carried the Denver Nuggets to 48-34 record, which by my calculations is 14 games over 500. Nikola Jokic is in the top tier of superstars, and he never gets the credit he deserves because it doesn't look the same as it does when you watch other players. He's slow, he's not that athletic, but he's so crafty and he's so talented that Nikola Jokic, I believe, is the most underrated player in the NBA, even though he's the back-to-back MVP. Let's talk about this Nuggets team, though, and what makes them so special. Tonight, Nikola Jokic was not the reason that they dominated this basketball game. And I'm going to use my phone a little bit here because, you know, like I said, I don't have my normal setup that I would normally have notes written down, but we're going to pull up the stats from tonight's game. The thing that I think was interesting about tonight's game is that even though Nikola Jokic didn't have his best game, they were still able to dominate. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that this roster is deep, that this roster is talented, and that they're able to compete with anybody in the NBA. Tonight, Jamal Murray had 18 points. Aaron Gordon had 13 points. Nikola Jokic only had 12. Michael Porter Jr. had 10. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 9. Nnaji had 13. Cancar had 15, and Bones Hyland had 16. Bruce Brown had 9. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players score 9 or more points. And I think that that's what's so important when you're looking at this Denver Nuggets roster. You're talking about one of the deepest teams in the entire NBA because they have guys playing at a high level. Bones Hyland off the bench giving you 13 points a game. Jamal Murray, we all see what that guy can do when it matters most in the playoffs and in big moments. And as he recovers from his ACL injury, will only get better. Michael Porter Jr. is an absolute stud, a guy who's recovering from back injuries. If this Denver Nuggets team can stay healthy and whole, to me, they're the best team in the Western Conference. And they have the number 2 offense in the entire NBA, right behind the Boston Celtics, but they're right on their tails. Now, let's talk about the Nuggets' weaknesses for a second here. The Nuggets don't have great rim protection. They actually have the second worst rim defense in the entire NBA based on field goal percentages. So one area that they could improve on a little bit, defending the paint. And that will matter a little more in the playoffs when teams are looking to exploit your weaknesses. But when you're in a playoff series and you have Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bones Hyland, you have 7 guys that are going to make legitimate contributions on a night-to-night basis, and they're coached by an experienced coach, Mike Malone, that has been in playoff series, that has had to make adjustments to come back from a 3-1 deficit against the Utah Jazz a couple years ago. They have everything that you could want in a team that will make the NBA Finals. And before the season, I picked the Denver Nuggets to make the NBA Finals. And I think that time and time again, they're just proving how talented they are. They're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they've been really hot as of late, taking down the Celtics and destroying the Clippers tonight. Now, a couple nights ago, when the Celtics were playing the Clippers, I was listening to the Celtics broadcast, and the Nuggets were playing the Celtics. And the question that they asked the Celtics announcer was, who do you think is the favorite in the Western Conference? And they said the Los Angeles Clippers. And for whatever reason, time and time again, these analysts, these people on TV, these talking heads, these NBA experts are disrespecting the Denver Nuggets, and they're putting way too much credit, in my opinion, on the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers are a team to me that is not a real threat in the Western Conference. I believe they're a good basketball team, at their best, a very good basketball team. But do you expect Kawhi Leonard, John Wall, Paul George to be able to play enough to make the NBA Finals? That makes no sense to me to say that they're the favorites in the Western Conference. And I think that time and time again, we're seeing the Denver Nuggets prove who they are this year because Nikola Jokic is playing like an MVP. He's been a 2-time MVP, and he might be having his best season yet, averaging 26, I think it was 11 rebounds and 9.5 assists. Jamal Murray averaging 18 points. And you have so many guys contributing on the Denver Nuggets that I truly believe that this is the best team in the West. And if they were to make it out of if you make it out of the West, you make it to the NBA Finals, anything is possible. And we were talking about the best players in the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. Those are the 2 best players in the NBA. It's time that we stop the Joel Embiid debate, the Joel Embiid versus Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic shows up 82 games a year, performs at a high level, wins MVPs, shows up in the playoffs, plays at a high level. We have not yet seen that from Joel Embiid. Nikola Jokic is the best big man in the NBA, and the Denver Nuggets are the best team in the Western Conference. That's all we got for you tonight. I'm going to get back to my vacation. Tomorrow, we're actually going to be back in my normal setup, so look forward to that. Don't forget to subscribe. Cyborg out.